Hi, my name is Jennifer Timmer, and I'm a biologist with Bird Conservancy of the Rockies. In this short video, I will go over some advanced features with data exploration in the Rocky Mountain Avian Data Center, such as how to save and share a query. If you haven't already, be sure to listen to our 3 previous videos introducing the Avian Data Center, explaining how to query data from the database with filter selection, and how to interpret output from a query. So to start, I have already run a query. I selected Brewer sparrow with the species filter in Wyoming for the superstratum. So this will give me statewide results for Brewer sparrow. So after you run the query, the first thing you see is the map view, which is a Google Map platform, and there are a few things you can add or change to it. In this upper left drop-down box, we have a few layers that you can add to the map. If you want to show bird conservation regions, Department of Defense lands, or maybe if you want to show Forest Service boundaries, click on Forest Service, add the layer, and now you'll see in green Forest Service boundaries for Bighorn National Forest in the north central part of the state, the Shoshone National Forest over by Yellowstone, and Thunder Basin National Grassland over in the eastern part of the state. So we can clear those layers. And you can also, if you don't want to have the satellite view in the background, that's the default. You can go up to this drop-down box on the right, and you can select this basic map view. And that'll just show you a little bit simpler view. You'll still have some of your management unit boundaries outlined, like National Forest, and you'll have cities, towns, and main roads. So I'm going to put it back on the satellite view because I kind of like the satellite view. So another feature that you can use on the Avian Data Center is this generate URL. It should really be called save a query. Let's say you're a biologist for the state of Wyoming, and every year you're interested in Brewer sparrow population results. So you run this query all the time. If you don't want to have to keep selecting the filters, you can go up and click on this generate URL, and it's just going to generate a link. You click OK. You can then paste that link maybe into a Word document to save for yourself, or if you want to email it to a colleague, and then all they'll have to do is just open up that link, and it'll take them basically to this page, and they'll just have to click that Run Query button, which will be highlighted in red. So the filters are already selected, and then you just run the query, and then they'll be able to see the results for Brewer sparrows in the state of Wyoming. So let's say you're a manager in Thunder Basin National Grassland, and you want to compare Brewer sparrow estimates in Thunder Basin to the state of Wyoming. Since we already have our query selected for Brewer sparrows in Wyoming, you can go up and you can click on this New Query Window button, and it's just going to open up a new web browser, and it'll allow you to run your query in this web browser. And the nice thing here, you only have one scroll bar to deal with, whereas you have 2 scroll bars to deal with on the initial web browser page. So sometimes it's nice to just open this new query window just for your filter selection to begin with. So let's select species. Let's look for and select Brewer sparrow, add that, and then we're going to select individual stratum, add, and we want to go down all the way to the bottom for Wyoming and select Thunder Basin National Grassland, add that, and now we can run that query. And now this is going to show us estimates and results for just Thunder Basin for Brewer sparrows. So what you might want to do, or what could be useful, is open up the Occupancy tab, and you can see the figure here on the right, which is just plotting the occupancy estimates for Brewer sparrows in Thunder Basin National Grassland. So you might want to look and compare and see what occupancy for Brewer sparrows looks like in Thunder Basin, and then maybe you want to go back and say, okay, now how does that compare to occupancy for Brewer sparrows in the entire state of Wyoming? And then you can look and just compare your figures, compare your estimates, and things like that. Okay, another feature I want to highlight on the data center. Up here in the upper right, you see this raw data access. If you click on that, if you were set up with the username and password, you could enter it there, and that's going to give you access to the raw database, and that will give you coordinates for survey locations. It's going to give you the raw bird data with all of the distances and the cluster size. It's also going to give you all the vegetation data that are collected at each survey point. So if you're a funding partner and you're already paying for the data, you own the data. So you could email me and I can get you set up with the username and password. Or if it's easier and you're a funding partner and you just want to look at survey results or survey locations in your management unit, you can also email me and I can get you that information pretty quickly. We do want to encourage others to use the data, whether or not you're a funding partner. We think this is a really cool data set, and a lot of effort goes into maintaining it on a year-to-year basis, and it'd be really sad if the data were not used for anything. So even if you're not a funding partner, it's a pretty simple process to request data. If you want to look at maybe climate change impacts on grassland bird species over the last 7 or 8 years, all you have to do again is just email me. I'll set you up with a pretty simple form to fill out, and we will email that data request to the INBCR partnership and get their approval for it. And the main thing with that is just we want to make sure that others within the partnership who are paying for the data aren't already doing a similar analyses. We don't want to step on toes or duplicate efforts. And then lastly, there are a few other options you can change. So if you go up, if you click on species counts, you can see that what you see for the sampling effort or the survey effort, it's the number of surveyed points for each year in Wyoming. But the sampling unit for INBCR is actually that 1 square kilometer grid. So if you want to see the number of grids that were surveyed for the state of Wyoming, go up and click on this View Options button. And then the last box you see here, Show Effort by Transect instead of Point. Click on that and hit Save. And then you just want to do Refresh Counts and Effort. And now what you see is the number of surveyed transects each year for the state of Wyoming. If we go back up to this View Options button, there are a few other things you can change. If you maybe only want to show density, or if you only want to show species for which we can estimate density and occupancy, that's really just going to weed out species where we just had a handful of detections, so not enough to actually estimate density and occupancy. It can kind of keep things from getting too cluttered in the results. Also, if you are a staff member at Bird Conservancy or a partner within INBCR, you can request a password. And what that's going to do, it's going to allow you to zoom in all the way on the map, because currently the zooming capability is restricted and the grid locations are slightly off-centered, and that's just to protect the privacy of our private landowners, so that you can't pinpoint down where maybe a sensitive or endangered species was detected, something to that effect. So if you enter in that password, it's going to let you zoom all the way in. You can see more linear features, more fine scale features on the map, and it's also going to show you all survey locations, including ones where maybe we have a lot of a survey effort, and so we only show some of the grid locations because we can't fit them all in the zoomed out map. And that is all I have today for showing some advanced features, but I would be happy to make some more videos. If there are any other features or things that you'd like me to go over on the Avian Data Center, please feel free to contact me and let me know. We'd love to hear your feedback on the videos, and hopefully you found this one useful on using some advanced features. Thank you very much.